Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to continue with my series that I call Favourite 5, where I share my favourite 5 records from any one particular band or artist, just as a way of starting conversations, or if you're new to this artist, maybe a starting point for you to listen to. So today's choice is Steve Hillage, once of a band called Gong, went on to a solo career, done other things with bands like System 7 and other little collaborations as well. And what I'm going to do today is share my favourite 5 albums by Steve Hillage, my favourite 5 tracks by him, and my favourite 5 other tracks that he is on. And so I'm going to start with albums. In 5th place, I'm going for this one, which you may or may not be familiar with if you do like Steve Hillage. This came out, I think, in 2019. It was recorded in very early, I think about 73, something like that, just prior to one of the Gong albums. I can't remember which one. Anyway, he was staying in a house down in France, in Sens in France, where they were recording and rehearsing for a Gong album, and he was there with his then girlfriend, still is his girlfriend and wife, Miquette Garaldi, and he recorded this, and it's very much like a solo electric guitar thing. So if you like kind of guitar noodling, you're absolutely going to love this album. It's an album that you may not be familiar with, but yeah, it's about an hour's worth of guitar noodling, which appeals immensely to people like me. Next up, number 4, is this album, Rainbow Dome Music. Sadly not on clear vinyl. You can get it on clear vinyl. This is on black vinyl. And this came out, I think, in the late 70s, I think. And it's 2 sides, 2 songs rather, one on each side of the vinyl, and it's very much in the ambient kind of thing. So if you're looking for guitar solos, you're not going to find it here. It's lots of Tibetan bells and synthesizers and sequencers and that kind of thing. But I like it. I like kind of ambient background music, and Steve Hillage was moving in that direction and has since very much moved in that direction. And that was the first time that he ever, I think, experimented with that kind of sound. So Rainbow Dome Music, Steve Hillage, 2 tracks. Ambient kind of stuff. That's at number 4. At number 3, I've gone with L, and L is from it's on Virgin Records. It's from 1976, I believe. Yeah, good album. There's some really good guitar work on this. There's a George Harrison song, It's Too Much. Electric Gypsies is good. Hurdy-Gurdy Man, which is the Donovan song, a very good version of that. It's even better live, actually. And there's a great song in here called Lunar Music Suite, which is kind of is proggy and spacey and so on. But that's my 3rd choice. That's L from 1976, I think it is. In 2nd place is a kind of space rock classic, really, and that's Green. Again, this isn't on coloured vinyl. You can get it on green vinyl. This is just on black vinyl. This is from, wow, I don't know actually. I think this is 78, I think. I love this album. There's my introduction to Steve Hillage. I did see him in about 79-ish. Down in Poole Arts Centre. Who was the support band? I think it was National Health, actually. But my introduction to this band was a single. I'm trying to think what the A-side was. Was it Getting Better? I can't remember now. But the B-side was Palm Trees Love Guitar, which is on here, which is fantastic. Ether Ships, Unidentified Flying Being, The Glorious Omriff, some great space rock on here. Quite accessible in places, I think, especially Palm Trees Love Guitar. So that's my 2nd choice. And my favourite album is his first album that he did as a solo artist. He just left Gong, and most of Gong appear on this album. This is my number 1 choice, Fish Rising by Steve Hillage. This is from 1975. Solar Music Suite is fantastic. The Salmon song is great. Afterglow is great. This is just a festival of psychedelic kind of space stuff. A really interesting album. It's Steve Hillage is not everyone's taste. I kind of get his vocals aren't always brilliant, but he's a great musician, and he always surrounds himself by very good musicians and good producers as well. So, for example, this album is produced by Nick Mason and sounds consequently a little bit Floydy in places. So that's my favourite albums. What about my favourite tracks by him? So in 5th place is a track from the live album. Now, I don't usually include live tracks, and it actually isn't a live track, because on the 4th side of the live album, which is called Live Herald, it's a studio side, and there's a song on there called 1988 Activator, which is a kind of a new wave punky kind of upbeat sort of song, up-tempo song with some absolutely fantastic guitar work on it. So that's my number 5. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description below with a playlist of these songs, Spotify playlist. So that's at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to the album L, and it's the second song on side 2, and it's called Lunar Music Suite. And as the name suggests, it's a kind of a bunch of movements of different kind of sections of one great long song. It's about 12 minutes long, an exploration through different textures and sounds, and great guitar work on it. And that's my 4th favourite song from Steve Hillage. At number 2, I go to his solo album, and it's the first track on side 2, and it's called The Salmon Song. Again, it's very... it is quite Gong-esque, which you would imagine it might be, bearing in mind that the backing band on this is in fact Gong. But again, there's some stellar guitar work. It's proper psychedelic stuff, actually, and that's the Salmon Song. And that's at number 3. At number 2 is a song from this album, from the kind of space rocky album Green from 1978 or whenever it was, 77, 78. And the song is the closing song on the album, which is called the Glorious Om riff. Now, that particular riff he had used in a song called Master Builder, which appears on an album I'll share in a second by Gong, which was called You. And he's kind of revisited that particular riff, and that's the Glorious Om riff, the closing song, which is a real fantastic guitar workout. It's a really good track. I love that. The Glorious Om riff from Green from 1978. And my favourite song is also on Green. And that's the closing track on side 1, and it's the B-side of the single I mentioned a moment ago, called Palm Trees Love Guitar. Absolutely gorgeous song. The guitar, the notes just kind of mold into each other. It's done, guitar synthesizers, but it's just brilliant the way the notes kind of flow into each other. It's a beautiful song with some absolutely stellar guitar work. So that's Palm Trees Love Guitar, my favourite Steve Hillage solo track. Okay, let's think about the tracks that he was on, and I'm going to share these via just my phone, actually, because I don't have, with the exception of one, I think, I don't actually have these on vinyl. So at number 5 is a band that was very short-lived. They were called Uriel, and for this album they were called Azazel. And it was a collaboration with Dave Stewart, and all the other rest of the band went on to form Egg. Steve Hillage went into Gong, and they produced one album, and it's very difficult to find, and when you do find it, it's incredibly expensive. And there's the cover. That's Azazel. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but the song in question is Clean Innocent Fun, which is a proper kind of psychedelic proto-prog kind of song. It's recorded in the late 60s. It's got some stellar guitar work on it, and the vocals are done, I think, by Steve Hillage, a bit weak, but the guitar work is fantastic. So that's at number 5. At number 4 is a guest appearance on an album by Nick Turner of Hawkwind fame. The Nick Turner album is called Space Fusion Odyssey. And it's got some stellar musicians on it, actually. It's got Billy Cobham on it, it's got Robbie Krieger, a variety of really good musicians, a couple of guys from kind of Gong and Soft Machine. And Steve Hillage appears on about 3 tracks on this album, but there's one track which he plays alongside Billy Cobham. It's quite a funky little song, and it's called, it's called Beautiful Vision, A Beautiful Vision in Science Forgotten. And it's from that particular album, Space Fusion Odyssey. Now, if there was a genre of music called Space Fusion, then Nick Turner would definitely corner the market on it, but there's some great funky guitar on that particular track. Again, I'll put that on the Spotify playlist so you can hear it. It's not an album you see very often. I think it came out in about 2015. It's good, actually, really good, if you like that kind of space fusion-y kind of sound. Okay, at number 3 is a track from this album. This is the last of the Gong albums that Steve Hillage was on prior to doing his first solo album in 75 called Fish Rising, my favourite Steve Hillage solo album. But this is the last album he did with Gong, and the last album before they became much more of a jazz fusion outfit. This is much more kind of space rocky and so on. There's a couple of great tracks on here. Master Builder, where the Glorious Om riff comes from. The Isle of Everywhere is great, but the track I'm choosing, my Third favourite track by Steve Hillage outside of his solo career is the track that closes side one. It's called A Sprinkling of Clouds. It's proper psychedelic space rock stuff. Whole, melting pot of instruments in that, and the guitar is there. It's not massively up front, but it's a wonderful tune. Love it. And that's from You by Gong, A Sprinkling of Clouds. At number 2 is a track, I think it possibly is the closing track from an album, again, really hard to find. I don't have it on CD, I probably should have because it's half decent. The band are called Khan. It's a collaboration with Dave Stewart, who he collaborated with in that Arza Shell group, and it's called Space Shanty. I think they only did one album, and this is a song about being stranded, I think, in space. It's a very space rocky album, and so the song Stranded, which has got again some absolutely gorgeous guitar on it, it's a decent album actually, but for me that's the highlight. And that's Stranded by Khan from the album Space Shanty from about 73, and that's my second favourite Steve Hillage song. My favourite one, and this is one of my favourite Steve Hillage songs, solo or band stuff, is a collaboration with a Japanese duo, a kind of a trancey ambient duo called Rovo. And I don't know their names, the Japanese fellas. And obviously Steve Hillage was moving into the ambient trance housey kind of music. And a particular album, it's called Phoenix Rising, and it's a collaboration between Steve Hillage and Miket Garaudi's band, which is System 7, and this Japanese duo called Rovo. And the album is called Phoenix Rising, and the song on there is Cisco. There's the album cover there. It's about 12 minutes long. It's very trancey. It speeds up. There's some absolutely stellar guitar work on it. I love it. It's the song that I play. It's the album I play quite a lot in the gym, and I love it when that song comes on. And that's my favourite, possibly even my favourite Steve Hillage song. It may even just eclipse Palm Trees, Love Guitar, and The Glorious On Riff. So there you go. There's my favourite 5 albums from Steve Hillage, my favourite 5 tracks, and my favourite 5 songs by him outside of his solo career. And I'll put a Spotify, if I remember, I'll put a Spotify playlist in the description below so you can listen to those songs. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What are your favourites, if you like this guy at all, and so on. And I'm sure I'll be back sometime with another video. Cheers all. See ya.